So good morning students. Today as you can see in this picture, stamen, you know very well what are stamen. Stamens are male reproductive part of a flowering plant. Okay, and as you can see here, stamen, you can learn like stamen is correspondent to microsporophyll. So pollen grain, these are related to microspores. Then anther, four microsporangiums are, they are actually making this one anther. Then filament will remain the same. So you have to learn, you just think like these are alternative names of this stamen, like stamens. Another name of stamen you can think like that. Another name of stamen is microsporophyll. Then this sac in which the pollen grains are present, that is microsporangium, and there are four microsporangium. Actually pollen sac develops microsporangium develops into pollen sac. So there are four pollen sac, it means four microsporangium will be there. Then pollen grains, they are actually, pollen grains are mature form of microspores. So you just remember that pollen grains means microspores, anther means microsporangium, but remember 4 in number. So stamen, microsporophyll. Okay, so microsporophyll, it contains 4 microsporangium inside it. Okay, as you can see in picture, so you can see in picture 4 pollen sacs are present. Basically these are microsporangium, 4 in number, and these microsporangium, they are covered by 4 layers. And these 4 layers, if we start from outermost region, the first one is epidermis, outermost layer, and then second one is endothecium, and third one is middle layer, and the fourth one is tapetum. So this is how from outermost to innermost part of this sac, pollen sac, make these 4 layers: epidermis, endothecium, middle layer, and tapetum. Okay, so epidermis, endothecium, middle layer, they actually help in protection of this pollen sac. And second function of this, dehiscence of anther. If you remember, pollen grains, they come out of the anther by rupturing the wall of anther. So what are those walls? Epidermis, endothecium, and middle layers. So these layers actually help in protection, and when your anther get mature, then dehiscence occur, means rupturing of the layer also occur in the manner, in some kind of manner, and then pollen grains release out. So these are two functions of your these layers. Then last one is the tapetum, and this tapetum is very important. This tapetum helps in nourishing developing pollen grain, as you know very well, because we are studying about anther. So anther contains pollen grain inside it. So growing pollen grain, you think like, as I told you that microsporangium contains inside it microspores. Microspore is immature form of pollen grain. So we can say immature stage, it grows into pollen grain. So what is a nourishing here? So pollen grains are immature pollen grain, or you can say the growing pollen grain or developing pollen grain. Developing pollen grain is nourished by this tapetum layer. Okay, so just check here what is present in these pollen sacs, or you can say microsporangium. So these microsporangium contains sporogenous tissues inside them. Sporogenous tissue, and these tissues are group of cells, you know very well. So they are very homogeneous cells, means the cells, their shape, size, characteristics, so all are same. So sporogenous tissue are present inside each pollen sac. I made only in two, but all four these microsporangium contains sporogenous tissue inside them. So what happened to this sporogenous tissue? So each and every cell of this sporogenous tissue is a potential pollen mother cell. Potential pollen mother cell, what does it mean? So it means that each cell of sporogenous tissue it has the power to make pollen grain. Okay, so pollen mother cell, PMC. So after meiosis means reductional division, what happens? Four cells are formed, but they are not free. They are in microspore tetrad form. So after that, the dissolution of the wall occur and they separated out, and these are pollen grains, immature pollen grains actually. So as you can see here in this picture, microsporogenesis. What is microsporogenesis? I just want to tell you this term. You need to remember microsporogenesis. Microsporogenesis is actually formation of microspores. Formation of microspore from pollen mother cell. That is called microsporogenesis. So pollen mother cell is 2n, means diploid, means two set of chromosomes are there, and after meiosis means reductional division, microspore tetras are formed. Okay, so but these cells are haploid, means single set of chromosomes are there. Okay, then what happens to microspores? This microspore tetrad, immature pollen grains are formed. So what happens actually? This each cell of this microspore, the nucleus undergo division and form a generative cell and tube cell. So two cells are there in this immature pollen grain. So after that, what happens? These immature pollen grains, the generative cell again divide by mitosis and produce two more cells, and these are called male gametes. So actually two male gametes are formed here by generative cell, and remember here generative cell floats inside the tube cell. So now from generative cell, as you can see here, generative cell again divided into two male gametes by mitosis. Okay, so two male gametes are formed and tube cell nucleus remain as it is, and you can see here male gametes are floating in cytoplasm of tube cell. That you have to remember. That is why you can see here I made this cytoplasm of the same color as the tube cell. So it means tube cell, this is the cytoplasm of tube cell, and nucleus and male gametes, they are floating inside the tube cell. So this, and you can see here the these layers are also formed, the walls are also formed in pollen grain. So now this is mature pollen grain, you can say. Okay, so from immature pollen grain, the mature pollen grain is formed, in which two male gametes are present, one tube cell is present, male gametes are present in cytoplasm of tube cell, that you have to remember, and then two layers, two walls over the pollen grain are present. Okay, then come to what is this immature pollen grain develop into mature pollen grain, and that process is called microgametogenesis. What is it? Microgametogenesis. Okay, so one more thing I want to tell you is that the outermost layer of pollen grain, is called exine, and I think you know very well it is called exine, and this exine is made up of sporopollenin, and this is toughest, or we can say the hardest organic material on earth. This is resistant to any decay, we can say. Okay, so this is very hard layer, outermost layer, exine, and then inner one is intine. And it is made up of cellulose and pectin. Okay, so these two complex carbohydrates make this intine. And one more thing I want to tell you, there are some pores are also present. Exine is not present all over the wall. Okay, there are some gaps in between the exine where exine is not present, and these are called pores. And one more thing, this mature pollen grain can be called as mature microgametophyte. What can we say? Pollen grain which contains these two male gametes, this is called mature male gametophyte. Okay, so this male gametophyte is actually this mature pollen grain which contains two male gametes inside it. Okay, let us do some questions now on the topic we studied. So microsporogenesis is number 1, number A, formation of microspores, number B, formation of female gametes, number C, formation of tapetum, and number D, all of the above. So what is the answer? Formation of microspore is the answer, correct answer. Now next one is function of tapetum. So what is the function of tapetum? Protection, nutrition, respiration, or all of these? So the answer is protection. Now third one is pollen grains have the ability to tolerate extreme temperature because of the presence of sporopollenin, pectin, suberin, cellulose. So what would be the answer? As I told you earlier about the organic material present in pollen grain, that is sporopollenin. This is highly resistant to acid. Okay, so the answer is sporopollenin. So this is all about the topic and these MCQs. So thank you so much, and be consistent, as our main motto is to be consistent with our studies, because whenever the KVS vacancies will come, we have to clear it, that's all. Okay, goodbye.